Okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen, as people are now rushing to escape the UK. And not just people, but millionaires, the rich, the wealthy. It's such a mass exodus going on right now that it's even taking me by surprise. If you remember the forecast I did, let me just pull that up for you a second. Here it was. There was a video I did on the 22nd of January talking about the private jet pilot, saying we've never seen anything like it. 811,000 views on that video, if you actually saw that video. Well, that's where there were people, it was about 5 people leaving the UK every 4 minutes. It was absolutely staggering. And now the reports that have come out in the last week blow that out of the water. In fact, there's now a millionaire leaving the UK every, they don't know exactly, but it's somewhere between 35 and 42 minutes. So let's just call it every 40 minutes, there is now a millionaire, or even richer than that, leaving the UK, fleeing the UK. They've started doing all of these not exit polls, but please drop a comment if you've seen this. It's from the ONS, the Office of National Statistics. So they have these people with clipboards at the airport, and they're saying, oh, hi, are you traveling for, pleasure? Is it for work? What's your reason? And they said that they've been absolutely astounded by the number of people that have ticked emigrating from the UK, like they are leaving. We're not talking about immigrating into the UK, we're talking about emigrating out of the UK. They said they're staggered by the amount of people that are leaving. And I mean, this is what we talked about back in January, where people thought I was talking crazy talk as usual. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, the numbers and the data doesn't lie. That's why I love just throwing all the emotion out the window and bringing you the facts and the numbers, because the numbers and the charts show us what is happening and where it's going. And if you remember the forecast that I made alongside that video, it was that as the money flows out, and Keir Starmer made that ridiculous statement, he's the Prime Minister of the UK, if you're not watching from the UK, he made that ridiculous statement, said it didn't matter because for everyone leaving, we've got 4 coming in. Well, I argued the point then, and I'll reinforce it again now. 1 millionaire leaving doesn't equal 4 people coming in from wherever they're coming from in the world. The GDP per capita isn't the same. So I don't think he quite gets it. And in fact, I know that they don't get it, as we come on to this story in a minute about what all these reports and governing bodies and everything else has said about Rachel Reeves. But if you want a spoiler alert, they're saying she's incompetent. They're all saying she's incompetent, and she's going to cripple the UK with these policies. More tax rises, that's her solution. Just keep taxing. She doesn't get it. None of them get it, because that's what you've got right now with a Labour government. Okay, now here's a statistic that really surprised me. I didn't even know this one. 30,000 millionaires have now left the UK. 30,000. That is such a huge sum of money. In fact, even if you get your calculator out and you started putting it in, it would probably not even calculate that. There wouldn't be enough zeros to say how much money is flowing out of the UK at the moment. The London has actually dropped out of the top 5 cities for millionaires around. It's not even in the ranking anymore. Just in the last 12 months alone, it's lost 11,300 high HNWIs, which are high net worth individuals. This includes billionaires and people with more than £100 million in their net worth. What else was on here that I wanted to cover? Oh yeah, Keir Starmer said he doesn't see it as a problem, and that if they want to leave, that's up to them. This is obviously a man who isn't an economist and doesn't understand the numbers. They are taking their money with them. They're taking their businesses with them. There was an interesting report as well. They interviewed this man called Devin Narang. He's an Indian entrepreneur, and he came to the UK because he'd been robbed. Okay, he came to the UK for business, and he was robbed or mugged on his first day. He said the fear of crime in London is now one of India's elite's biggest concerns about the city and why they don't come very often. He said people are being mugged in the heart of London, right in Mayfair. He said in a meeting in February, the Financial Times reported on this. He said it actually says all CEOs in India have had an experience of physical mugging, sometimes violent mugging, and the police in London do not do anything about it. Says they did not even respond. This is, if you're watching from outside the UK, you probably think this is some sort of a skit, or we're living in the Twilight Zone here. This is actually happening. Manchester United owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe said he's had to stop wearing luxury watches because so many people are getting violently mugged. He said, I can't wear a watch in London and I just need to be wary and careful. He tells a story here, which I'm not even going to tell because we're streaming to YouTube. It's very gruesome, of something that he witnessed, he said, via the CCTV camera at his headquarters in Knightsbridge. Again, these stories go on and on and on. They were asked, the government was asked to respond then to this then. Capital gains tax and estate duty rates in the UK are amongst the highest in the world, which deters wealthy business owners and retirees from living there. They asked the government for a response. They refused to respond. And the OECD have talked about the tax rises in October that took place have exacerbated the issue. And now more people are fleeing than ever before. Now, I just wanted to, we've got so much to cover here. We're going to cover the local elections as well as a couple of other, this one's a crazy story. I want to tell you this one. But let me show you. Okay, well, actually, I know what I was going to just share with you. The other thing I was going to say, the gold and silver program is almost ready. You'll notice I've been away for a few days. Part of that was doing a lot of prep work for the program. Part of it was just taking a few days holiday or vacation for my American viewers. So I'm refreshed, I'm ready to go. That program is going to be ready very shortly. And if you're not on the email list, you can go onto my website. You'll see the link below and you'll actually get a couple of bonuses when you sign up. But definitely do that. Put your email in there, because you've seen it before where I've not been able to stream for a week or 2 weeks at a time. So what I've now done is, if that ever happens, because we're still on YouTube streaming, if that ever happens again where I say something they don't like and they kick me off for a week or 2 week ban, I will continue to post on the newsletter. So all the stories, I put it all on the newsletter. So definitely make sure you're subscribed on the email newsletter, and you'll also get the lowest price on the courses when they come out as well, the new courses. So definitely get over there. And then lastly, before we go back to the news, if you haven't entered the raffle, it's only £1 to enter. We are drawing it in 10 days. This is super exciting. I can't wait for it. One of you, for just £1 to enter, is going to come here and we're going to spend the day together. It's going to be awesome. So if you want to do that, the link below for that as well. Right, let's come on to these reports then. Here we go. Domestic economic woes are wrecking the economy, says the think tank. The likelihood of further tax rises in the autumn are now very obvious. There's so many of these economic think tanks that are saying this. We also have the NIESR. This is a long-winded. It's the National Institute of Economic and Social Research. They said that at this current rate, unless they change things, the UK is on course to suffer a long period of stagnation, cutting tax receipts, forcing the Chancellor to balance the books only months after a tough budget in March that reduced welfare benefits. They took away all of these other benefits, and we know where the money's flowing. We don't talk about that too often, do we? We don't want any more bans from the channel, but we know where the money's flowing to. Hotels. Excuse me. Hotels. So this is all the things that's going on. They've said now this is of the government's own making. It's nothing to do with the slowing global trade. This think tank, as well as these other reports, they've all come out at the same time. The IMF report as well. They're saying that the government is blaming Donald Trump's taxes and all this other tariffs. And they're saying that this is nothing to do with the tariffs. This was all in progress, because again, they're looking at the data before the tariffs actually happened. So the government responded and said, no, this is absolutely as a result of these tariffs. It's not our fault, and we may need to raise taxes due to Donald Trump's tariff threats, it added. Yeah, okay. They think people are stupid. They're not. People are waking up so quickly, as we found out over the last couple of weeks. People are waking, we'll come on to this in a second. People are waking up. They're saying, we're not having any more of this. We're not having any more of this nonsense. We are fed up. We're being lied to by our government, by our media, putting other people first before our own citizens, our own military, veterans, people that are suffering with all sorts of other problems, and then they get their welfare cut, and then money's flowing elsewhere. People have had enough, and you're going to see a massive shift. We already saw a massive shift over the last couple of weeks. This is going to continue. It's going to continue. I've got so much more to say on this. Okay, the annual deficit, which is currently capped at 9.9 billion, could rise to, are you ready for this? Could rise to 62.9 billion by 2029. Mark my words, this would be a death spiral. There's no possible way, with every forecast I've done on this, shows you there's no possible way that the UK government would survive this, the budget, that the finances would collapse. It's just not possible. The debt to GDP would be so far above 100%. It would be, I can't even calculate it in my head. It would be high. It would be well over 100%. There'd be no way out of it, because you'd be in this spiral. But this is what they're saying. Oh, we're looking at borrowing more and raising taxes. They are clueless. You've got these people in charge of and think of it like this. It's not just in charge of the public finances. It's also they're in charge of your pension. Remember that report I did that said the UK pension, I warned you all in advance, the UK pension programme could collapse if these bond yields and the bond values don't change quickly. And then we had that report. And again, please check this for yourself, because the BBC and all these others said it was a conspiracy theory and I was spreading misinformation. Look it up for yourself. You will see it. Just do a Google search. The Bank of England bailed out the UK pension programme 5 hours before it collapsed. You can check this for yourself and verify it. This BBC Verify stuff that they keep doing. Here's another one, BBC Verify. It's actually the opposite. They're not verifying anything. They're telling you the opposite of what's true. It's kind of hilarious to me that people believe this stuff, that they can't see through the propaganda, the way they, like 1984, they use words that are the opposite to showcase. I won't go any more on it, but you get what I'm saying. In other words, verify is the opposite effect that they're doing. No wonder, what is it? Hundreds of thousands of people have cancelled their TV license. Yes, people in Britain have to pay a TV license to the BBC. It's no wonder everyone's cancelling them at the minute. Okay, this is what they said in the government. We delivered a once-in-a-parliament budget to fix the public finances and rebuild the NHS. With 2 million appointments, waiting lists have come down. Those most vulnerable in society are now at the front of the waiting list. Do you know who they're talking about when they say the most vulnerable in society? Okay, well, it's not you and it's not me. So no, they didn't make the public finances stronger. They've made them worse. So again, what we're seeing is this very strange approach of saying the opposite of what is true. There's now a £57 billion black hole in the finances, and it's only going to get worse. Again, they're talking about this debt spiral that, okay, I made a few notes here. All the studies show that the UK's finance problems are due to the current domestic leadership policies, i.e. Reeves. But if you look at the new forecasts here, these are down arrows, by the way. This is what they're forecasting. This is now 2025 going into a massive drop into 2027. A bit of an incline, but that's based on borrowing. So again, that's fake GDP. That's just more debt making the problem worse. It's like giving drink to an alcoholic. That's what they're doing. They're making it worse. And then you've got another drop off there, which is perfectly in line with historical trends. When you inject liquidity, money, if you want to use that word, for for exactly 2 or 3 years, it's exactly the same. And then you'll see massive inflation at this point. So that'll be about 2029 if they follow through. So if you've got a mortgage coming up, keep an eye on that, because if there's going to be massive inflation, you've got to keep an eye on what you're doing with your mortgage and other things. Again, you remember all of my courses, I teach you how to do all of this stuff. There's different cycles for how to protect your finances in different periods. Because of the weaker economic outlook, we project low tax receipts. And because of the low tax receipts, we think the government is not going to meet either of its fiscal rules. They have, again, this other think tank has predicted massive drop-offs in tax receipts because of all the rich people leaving. They're just not going to be able to do it, they say. Okay, this is the big result. You already know what happened here. These were the local elections. Look at that. That circle there. Hold on, where is it? Can I get on it? Just there, just there. That is Reform Party. That is how many seats they gained, and everyone else kind of, well, actually not everyone else, but the two main parties, Conservatives and Labour, lost seats. Not just lost seats, but the councils. Lost the councils now. So they've got, Reform have just taken on 10, okay, so there's 10 councils now controlled by Reform. Kent County Council, this was a Conservative stronghold. Staffordshire, this was Conservative as well. Durham, this had no control. It's now led by Reform. Derbyshire is now Reform. It was Conservative. Lincolnshire was Conservative. It's now Reform. What you're not seeing, though, is them taking over Labour, which is interesting. You would have thought that they would have taken over the Labour councils. Please drop a comment if you know why that didn't happen. It's all about voting in unity, strength in numbers, no matter the demographic size. So this is what we're seeing. We're seeing Conservatives, people who are, some people hardline lifetime Conservatives, jumping over to Reform. You look at the block size here with the losses, that it's 635 losses, 648 gains. That's really what you're seeing. I mean, there's all sorts of analysts jumping into this and giving their forecast, but that's really what you're seeing. And Labour's response to this was, I had to put LOL on there because it made me laugh really hard. They said that because they're losing to Reform, what they're going to do to turn this around is make it harder for migrants to get permanent residency, because this was the number one thing. 97% of people voted on that survey to say migration was out of control. Here's what they're ridiculously not saying. They've said that they are planning to extend. Okay, so they said, you'll understand as soon as I read this out. Under the system, migrants can apply for indefinite leave to remain in the UK after they've lived and worked there for 5 years. The government is planning to extend that period to as long as 10 years now for regular migrants. Okay, so what you have is regular and irregular migrants. This is the terminology that they use. So what do they mean by regular? Well, that is someone like my wife. She's American. She came to the UK. Gosh, we've been married 10 years next week, this time next week, 10 years. And when she came, she had to do all the citizenship tests. She really studied for it. I remember she was studying an hour or two every day for a long time. She was so proud when we went to the building, and she did her did a test, and got her a certificate or whatever it is they give you, that scroll. She was so proud to do it. She spent a lot of money. She really went through the whole process. And so that's a regular migrant. So when they say regular and irregular, irregular means someone that's not come into the country legally, right? So this is why I had to laugh. They said that because of that survey and because so many people voted, they're going to stand with the British people and take action on this. No, they're not. They are, again, let me read it out. We are going to extend that period for the indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to as long as 10 years for regular migrants. So again, you're going to get the numpties that go, oh yes, Labour's going to do something about the dinghies and everything else. Yes, this is great. Finally, I'm gonna vote for them again. You will actually get people that will vote for them again, believe it or not. Just insulted a load of my audience there who probably voted for Labour the last time. But they think we're stupid by saying that they're going to take care of it. No, they're not taking care of anything. They're just shifting. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Drop a comment. I want to read your comments on this. Another thing that came out, this was another study. UK among the lowest ranked countries for human flourishing and well-being study. Had to dig into this. They came joint second to last out of 22 places. They were joint with Turkey. I think it was Turkey, joint last with Turkey. This was a survey launched over many, many years, 200,000 participants. I mean, some of the countries that ranked way, way above the UK, Indonesia, Mexico, Philippines. It's usually people from those countries come into the UK to work and for a better standard of living, and now we're being told actually it's a better standard of living there. Okay, let me wrap up with this. Heathrow shutdown cause still unknown. This just came out today. It's still unknown, this report says. And I was reading through this. BBC, verify. I was reading through this and I just couldn't believe it. They said despite having some of the best experts coming in, experts in all different fields from fire to electrical and engineering to all this other stuff, they don't know the answer. They don't know the reason for this electrical fire. They can't figure it out, so it's now unknown. Report closed. And isn't it interesting that they also did this the other day with the Spain and Portugal and other things? Just a few days after that big political win where they turned off all the renewables and said, look, 100% renewables. Next thing you know, UK, which didn't happen because they had a backup supply, luckily, Spain, France, Portugal, all massive blackouts. And yet they get all these reports and it's always unknown. Never know the reason. I just can't figure this out myself. Always unknown. All right. Thanks for being online. Remember to subscribe to the email newsletter and the other stuff. All right. Take care. God bless.